how's it going? Mike here, back with the Usagi Podjimbo podcast. Hope everybody's doing well out there. We're on to episode 5. Sorry I had to split up last week's episode and this week's episode, but life stuff got in the way. But we are here to talk about Usagi Yojimbo, issue 4 again, but Samurai Part 8, the last part in the Samurai Saga. Oh boy, and this one is definitely a crazy issue. It's a very emotional issue, I would say, and a very violent issue in some aspects because Usagi is going to war, and with not with Lord Mifune's clan, but for Lord Mifune is going to war, and we're going to get into that, which is going to be a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed the last episode. Thanks for listening. And if you have any feedback for me, look me up on Apple Podcast or Spotify. 5-star rating. Give me a review. Helps me get up there in the rankings. It helps other people find the Usagi Podjimbo podcast. Thanks for listening. And let's get into this final part for the Samurai Saga, which I can't believe we're on the last part for Samurai, which is pretty cool. And we're gonna go into more Usagi Yojimbo, which I am so excited to do. Not gonna lie, very excited on that. So yeah, let's get into this. So Usagi is talking to Gin. They're drinking up all the sake. The sake is almost gone, but that's okay because Usagi's story is almost done here. And as Usagi says, yeah, his story is almost done, you know? And so we find out that a great war was upon them, and Lord Mifune, Usagi has been Lord Mifune's bodyguard or vessel for about 3 years because of his skills in swordsmanship, and he got recommended by Gunichi, him, and because of his training and stuff, and because Lord Mifune saw him at the tournament, he has become Lord Mifune's personal bodyguard, which is pretty cool. We get to see Usagi playing with Lord Mifune's son, uh, Tetsurichi. I totally butchered that. It's Tetsuruchi is his name. Tetsuruchi is the little boy's name. And we have Lady Kazumi. Sorry for that mispronunciation, but my Japanese names are a little rusty, not gonna lie about that. We see them playing and looking at some koi fish, and we find out that the shogun has not yet firmly established his rule, and we see these ninjas crawling up the side of the mountain. Not the mountain, about on the side of the castle, which we find out these are the Neko ninjas, which are cat ninjas. Not gonna lie, that's pretty fucking cool. Cats are ninjas. I mean, come on, right? Normal cats are like ninjas with sneaking around and jumping and stuff, but when you give them like ninja weapons and ninja gear, oh, they're definitely got to be deadly, right there. When we see the ninjas, coming in and assassinating people, one of them gets, one of the guards gets fucking stabbed in the neck, and they take these ninjas out wholeheartedly. And Lady Kazumi and Tetsuchi is getting put down for the night because they're getting ready for bed, and their servant ends up flying through the door, crashing through, getting killed by the cat ninjas. And we find out, oh no, you know, they're getting attacked, and Lord Mifune's family is getting attacked, and Usagi and Gunichi go off and run to help Lord Mifune as the other guards go and help Kazumi and her child. We get this cool scene with Lord Mifune, Gunichi, and Usagi all fighting the cat ninjas, which I'm not gonna lie, that's a really cool scene. And we find out that all the guards are dead. They killed all the guards, and they're almost killed Lord Mifune, but they didn't kill him whatsoever. And they go and fight off all the ninjas, which is a cool scene. and we lead into that to one of probably the most heart-wrenching scenes. If we thought the last one was heart-wrenching, the last issue was heart-wrenching, this is pretty bad. Lord Mifune's family is found dead. He is upset, distraught by this, and we see a conversation between Usagi and Gunichi. And so we find out that these are the Neko ninjas. The Neko ninjas, they're trying to figure out who exactly is controlling them and, sending them on their missions. And we come to find out which we think is, we don't know for sure, but Lord Hakiji. And I think we've heard Lord Hakiji's name before. I'm not 100% sure, but uh, he's a lord in this universe, and Lord Mifune is very mad. He's set off for war uh, to go fight Lord Hakiji. And we get this cool scene where they're all standing on top of a mountain watching the battle as it goes on. Gunichi, Usagi, and Lord Mifune, and as well as all the other samurai who are guarding Lord Mifune, and they're watching the battle go on. And the battle is taking place at Adachi Adachigahara, the Adachigahara plain, which I think I remember them saying Adachigahara plain at the very, very beginning of this series, if I remember correctly. And so apparently the battle is going in Lord Mifune's favor. Uh, we see Lord Hakiji apparently has no chance at winning this battle. And we see them watching the battle, and Mifune is like, good, I'll signal their change, arrows head formation, and he has got his little fan that he's flinging around. He's signaling for people to change, and like, I guess he gets the notion or the feeling that he doesn't need to win the battle by seeing his troops win by seeing his troops back of their heads. And he needs to get into battle, Lord Mifune says, and they're all ready to get in, get into battle. And we see you see Genichi, he's like, no, Lord Mifune, it is too dangerous. And Genichi's like, no. Genichi's like, nah, he's like, no, sir, don't do this. Mifune charges in, and he's like, Gunichi, you're on my left. Usagi, you're on my right. And they charge in to battle, which this is a cool scene. They're on horses in full samurai garb. And they're trying to stay with Lord Mifune. You see Usagi swinging his sword, killing people. And he's like, Gunichi, stay with Lord Mifune. And it looks like Gunichi is starting to lose sight of Lord Mifune. We get this cool scene with this broken up into several different panels. It's raining, arrows are raining down on them. They're getting shot with arrows, and they can't seem to quite keep up with Lord Mifune. Usagi is definitely have a hard time with this. He's having a hard time seeing because of the rain, the mud's making it really hard to move. Uh, they need to close in ranks, but they can't. They think that they're retreating. The Kiji soldiers are retreating, but it looks like they're not exactly doing that. I mean, it looks kind of like they're doing that, but Lord Mifune is like, after them, go after. I want Hakiji's head. Signal for Toda for the reinforcements. Flank their left, and you see him. There's like lightning crackling behind him. He's like, yes, victory is ours. We find out that might not be the right thing that's happening, because we find out that Toda's warriors are not following the battle signals whatsoever, and we find out that Toda's forces have basically turned to the dark side, if you know what I mean. And Lord Mifune is like, "Curse you, Toda, curse you!" As he's shaking his fists, riding his horse, and, and he's like, "Curse you! You will gain greater rewards if Akiji is victorious." And apparently, yeah, that's not working out so well for Lord Mifune. And we see Usagi and Gunichi. Usagi and Genichi are talking, and he's like, "You hear that, Usagi? You hear that? Toda switched sides. The battle is lost," according to Genichi. And he's like, "We can still save ourselves. We can break through their line where an army cannot." And Usagi's like, "But Lord Mifune," and Genichi's like, "We must abandon him." I guess Gunichi has given up all hope in this situation. There's no other choice, he says. And Usagi's like, "I would rather die in battle than live without honor." And Gunichi's like, "You're a fool." Gunichi's very mad about this, apparently. And Usagi's like, "I will not abandon Lord Mifune." And good old Gunichi, Mr. Bodyguard himself, gives Usagi a big old bitch slap, big old Batman bitch slap, and Gunichi takes off. Gunichi's like, "See you later. I'm gone. I'm not gonna deal with this situation." And then that's when the wave of enemies washed over them. We see they are definitely getting overwhelmed. And he said that that was the last day he saw Kenichi, or Gunichi, sorry, not Kenichi, Gunichi, until today, which I guess this entire 8-part story has taken over the span of a day to tell the story. Interesting fact. I did not know. But yeah, so we're going on from there. So as the battle rages on, we find out that Usagi was torn between his desire to go after Genichi and his desire to protect his lord. And you see Lord Mifune still fighting on. He's like, "Usagi, we have to break through. We have to reach the ranks and regroup." And we see Usagi's like, "They've fallen, sir." And Lord Mifune is like, "I'll mourn his loss later," you know. Uh, I guess Usagi told Mifune that Gunichi left. I'm guessing. Who knows? But in the fierce battle raging on, Mifune gets um, hit by a lot of arrows, taken down, and Usagi is like, "I couldn't let them put uh, Mifune's head on display." So he took Lord Mifune, ran off. His Usagi's horse dies from all of its wounds, and Usagi is able to escape barely. Oh, this scene is just so well drawn, so all the little details are just so amazing. Usagi made a final dash to freedom. It was too much for him, but he actually did make it to freedom. you know, we see this sombering scene of Usagi. And Usagi has all these arrows in his back. He's kneeling down on the ground and he's like, "I buried his head," which makes me a little confused. I thought he grabbed Mifune, but did he just grab his head, or did he cut off Lord Mifune's head, or was Mifune's head already cut off? That's a really good question, because in this, it looks like he's just holding on to Lord Mifune's head. So I wonder who decapitated Lord Mifune. Hmm. I need to find this out. I need more clarification on this. Who decapitated the tiger? I need to find this out. But this is such a sad scene to see, as Usagi is finally realizing that he is alone, he has no master, and he has now become a Ronin, which is a masterless samurai. Whew, that is a lot of things to unpack there for Usagi. And luckily, I think he finally does kind of come to terms with that by the end of the story. But he goes back to to the battlefields. He ran back as fast as he could. He ran back to Adachigahara, and he fought. He is there without his lord. Everything is just destroyed. He doesn't really know what to do. Hakiji's men were already hunting the stragglers. He hid for a week in the mud, living off of grubs and rainwater. That's got to be something right there, hiding in the mud. Then Usagi says that was 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago to Usagi, and now that he's avenged his lord by killing the traitor Gunichi in a duel. Uh, he kind of goes on from there, and he says that his victory was a hollow victory. It's not something that he really wanted to do because he did consider Gunichi to be a friend of his. And we get this interaction between him and Gin and Usagi. And Gin says, samurais can't really afford to have friends. And Usagi's like, do you really believe that, Gin? And Gin's kind of brushes Usagi off in this situation. He's like, drat, we're at Asaki. I want more Ronin. And Usagi's like, I've had enough. Besides, my story is over. And Gin says, that's the saddest day of a samurai's life, the day he has to become a Ronin. Someday I'll tell you my story about how I became a Ronin, but I'm not really going to tell you that right now. I sense a lot of foreshadowing in this, and I can't wait to get to Gin's story and see what exactly Gin's story is. But Gin says, but that'll have to wait for another day. I've got a lot of distance to go. I got a huge bounty that has escaped over in the next town. Gin asks Usagi, "Hey, do you want to go with me to the next town and get this bounty? We could probably split it. Who knows? Which we could have a little fun." And Usagi's like, "Nah, I don't need to go do that now, Gin. I don't really need to do that. And we get this really nice scene towards the end of this issue. So Gin says he'll pay for the drinks this time. And Usagi's like, no, put your money away. I told you it is bad luck to pay with a dead man's money, especially a dead friend's money. And that's how Usagi wants to remember his friend Gunichi, that the man who betrayed his lord, is as a friend. And I think that says a lot about Usagi's character and about him forgiving Gunichi for what he did, because it really was a soulless victory, like he said it was. Because in the end, Usagi didn't want to kill Gunichi, but he had to get the honor back for Lord Mifune. I'm guessing that's what his thought process might have been. Who knows? I could be completely wrong, but this part of the issue, which this one was a little longer, it was really good. It was very sad. I was kind of sad, and I felt like there was a slight feel good moment at the end with Usagi coming to terms with having to kill Gunichi. He did it, but he still thought of Gunichi as his friend. Seeing the war depicted was it seemed like very visceral action sequences. They were very well done and very well paced out. I loved all the little details you could see in the background, like all the rain and the lightning and the arrows flying through. And yeah, it was a very good depiction of war, because as we see in Fallout, war is hell, apparently. But yeah, this was a nice ending to the samurai story as a whole. We got a nice, good chunk of Usagi's backstory, and we're moving along. We're moving along to what story is it that we're moving along to? Let me see. There's several we can move on to. There's several short stories in the back of this book. There's Kappa, A Quiet Meal, The Blind Swords Pig, and then there's was it Lone? Is it Lone Samurai? I can't remember what it was called. I forget. I gotta look at the back of the book and see. Lone Rabbit and Child, that's what it's called. But I think we'll be doing Kappa next because that's the next story in this book. But yeah, this was a good read. I think it wraps up very nicely and it doesn't really leave any loose strings in the origins of Usagi. But we do, don't I say the only thing that's left is to find exactly out who Lord Hakiji is. I feel like that's going to be a big thing going forward, is possibly finding Lord Hakiji and maybe killing him. Who knows? We'll see about that. Um, it was this was a very violent issue. Seeing all the Neko assassins come through, and I felt so bad when Lord Mifune's child died and his wife died. That was uncalled for. I don't think we should have done that. You don't have to go after the wife and child. Just go after everybody else. I think everybody else is fair game, but women and children aren't fair game, in my opinion, when it comes to war. But that's how it is. Um, but yeah, this was sad. This is a sad thing, but I mean, we already knew going in that Lord Mifune was gonna die, and Usagi was gonna, be a masterless Ronin. So it is what it is. Yeah, and I hope the momentum keeps going. I definitely do hope the momentum keeps going, and we get more of these. I know we do get some. Like we'll have like the Dragon Below conspiracy, I think it's called, and there's like Grass Cutter and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I like these longer format stories, so I'm glad to see how I want to see how these shorter stories compare to these longer format stories. So I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what that is all about. But thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed, and make sure to go check out my other podcast called Otakuology, where I talk about anime, manga, and stuff like that. If you have any questions or concerns, you can reach me on Twitter at UsagiPod or usagipod at gmail.com. I'm on Facebook at Usagi Podjimbo. Is a Facebook group I started for the podcast. We also have a Twitter and an Instagram as well if you want to talk to me about Usagi Yojimbo there. So yeah, thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed, and definitely catch you guys on the next episode. Peace out. Have a good evening. Go read some Usagi Yojimbo. It's definitely worth your time.